the Massachusetts rental agreement. In this video, we will tell you about the most noteworthy aspects of rental agreements in the state of Massachusetts. What is a rental agreement? A rental agreement or a lease is a document that outlines the arrangement between two parties regarding a property rental. The one who's paying rent is called a tenant, while the owner of the property, who lets the other party use it under certain conditions, is called a landlord. The parties may also be called a lessor and lessee. Typically, a rental agreement lasts for 6 or 12 months, with rent being paid every month or every week. There is one federal disclosure that works for all lease agreements in the United States. This is called the lead disclosure, and it requires the landlord to tell the tenant about all known lead paint hazards. They should also provide the state-approved version of the pamphlet, Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home. However, this requirement applies to not all types of residential dwellings. Required disclosures. Apart from the above-mentioned disclosure, the landlord should also disclose to the tenant the names and business addresses of the people who own and are authorized to manage the rental unit. At the time of receiving a security deposit, the landlord should also give a receipt indicating the amount of the deposit, the date, the name of the person receiving it, and a description of the premises rented. The receipt should also indicate the name and location of the bank in which the security deposit has been deposited and the amount and account number of said deposit. One more statement the tenant should get from the landlord is one describing the present condition of the premises to be rented. Such written statements shall also contain a comprehensive listing of any damage then existing in the premises. The tenant can either sign it or create a statement of disagreement. Security deposits. According to the Massachusetts general laws, the maximum security deposit cannot be more than 1 month's rent. The landlord shall return the security deposit within 30 days after the end of the tenancy. The landlord can use the deposit to pay unpaid rent or repair any property damages caused by the tenant along with the itemized list of damages and their cost. If the landlord fails to return the security deposit, the tenant can get up to 3 times the amount of such deposit, plus interest at the rate of 5% from the date when such payment became due, together with court costs and reasonable attorney fees. Landlord access. The Massachusetts law does not set a specific time frame for an entry notice for the landlord before accessing the rented apartment to inspect the premises, make repairs, etc. However, at least a 24-hour notice is always recommended. Termination of agreement. In case of tenancies at will, which is an agreement without a set end date, a notice in writing shall be given at least 3 months before the date by either of the parties. In other cases, a notice should be sent in the period equal to the interval between the days of payment or 30 days, whichever is longer. Notices for non-compliance and non-payment. If the tenant fails to pay rent, the landlord should send at least a 14-day notice to pay or quit. However, there is no statutory time frame for sending a notice when the tenant breaches any other term of the lease.